Hi everyone, last week I decided to pick up You Are the Placebo, Making Your Mind Matter by Dr. JoeDispenza, and I can say that it was the best decision I've ever made. Dr. JoeDispenza is an incredible researcher and scientist. He visualizes his research and observation about healing and how the mind works in his book. The main aim of his book is to make people believe in themselves instead of outside factors, and he drives his point home by using the placebo model. His own life is no less than an inspiration. Even after suffering from a vertebral injury, he managed to turn his life around in just 3 months with the power of his mind. How cool is that? Emerging from his struggles, he took over the mission of teaching others to make miraculous changes in their lives with the power of their minds. Dr. Joe is no doubt a symbol of healing and strength. You're in luck today because we'll be covering the top 7 lessons from his book in our video. So, you better not miss out on the great pearls of Dr. Joe's wisdom. But before we start, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let's get started. What is the placebo model? To understand the lessons of this book, you first need to understand the placebo model. Dr. Joe has used numerous examples in the first 2 chapters to explain the power of a placebo. I'm going to mention my favorite one. Dispenza talks about the case of this 7-year-old man who got diagnosed with liver cancer. The old man was saddened by the news and had only one wish, to live out Christmas with his wife, but he died a week before. Now, here's the interesting bit. When doctors performed his autopsy, they found out his liver was fine. There was no cancer. So what did he die from? Not pneumonia, not cancer. Then what? Dr. Joe answers that it was his thoughts that killed him. He wasn't dying, but everyone around him and the man himself believed otherwise, and well, we saw what happened. This incident shows you how deep the effect of a placebo can run. Moving on, Dr. Joe explains that a placebo has 3 components. Conditioning is when you associate a certain stimulus with a particular response. For example, you take an aspirin and expect it to relieve pain. Expectation when you prepare yourself for a new result. For example, when you switch medicines and expect a different result. Meaning is when we give new intentions to our actions. For example, when we think that actions like scrubbing and vacuuming are meaningful, we reap their benefits instead of those who consider them a waste of time. Now that you know how a placebo works, we can list the top 7 lessons from the book. Number 1. You are in charge of your reality. This is a central idea in the book. According to Doctor, a person is in control of his reality, not fate. How is that, you ask? Well, Joe repeatedly says, your personality creates your reality. This statement implies that to take control of your life, you need to put your personality in place. How can you do that? Well, for you to put your personality in place, you must first know what makes a personality. As Dr. Dispenza has aptly described, your personality is simply a mix of your thoughts, emotions, and actions. The current version of you is at this stage of life because of your past experiences and choices. The actions of your past helped shape you into the person of today. Joe describes this as follows. 95% of who you are by the time you're 35 years old is a set of memorized behaviors, skills, emotional reactions, beliefs, perceptions, and attitudes that functions like a subconscious computer program. If you wish to change your future, you need to change your personality by altering your actions and thoughts. Sounds simple, right? Well, we will decide this later on in our video. Number 2. Change requires great strength. Now, we did talk about changing your actions and thoughts to take charge of your future, but it's not as easy as it sounds. It's natural for everyone to feel discomfort when making such changes. However, if we do not wish to be stuck in a bubble, we first need to understand the reason behind this discomfort. Dr. Dispenza explains that a lot of our thoughts are old, about 90% actually. Your body and mind essentially harbor all negative experiences. Consequentially, a lot of your behaviors are strongly solidified after many repeated cycles. We all know you cannot make something new from something old. When you decide to make a change, you are fighting against years of practice. It's 90% of your brain versus the rest of 10%. You can see the battle is hardly fair. Every day you have to fight the instinct to act on your previous urges. Dr. Dispenza sheds some light on the topic. He says that this discomfort, the craving you experience, is just the body's withdrawal from its all well-known chemical addictions. Once you understand that the pain you experience is just the neurological, chemical, and biological death of those pathways, your fight becomes easier. Joe calls it the phoenix igniting itself and burning itself to ashes, a painful but necessary process for growth. Number 3, epigenetics engineer. Earlier, we talked about being in charge of your reality. Here is another side to that picture. You all know what genes are, right? They're pieces of DNA that determine everything about us, from our eye color, hair to our intelligence, what food we like, the way we talk, etc. Typically, these genes are under the influence of factors like the environment and gene-altering chemicals. This control of genes is known as epigenetics. The coolest part is that you can control them too. Yep, that's right. You might think, well, I am no geneticist who has the knowledge to manipulate genes. Don't worry, it's much simpler than that. Dr. Joe explains that we are not tied to one genetic destiny. Instead, the simple act of thinking can influence our genes. Our thoughts, whether the positive or negative, act to switch certain genes on and off, hence creating new patterns of gene expression and allowing us to change our genetic destiny. Number 4, think good thoughts. From the previous point, you can conclude that our thoughts are powerful since they alter our genes. You'll be surprised to know that we have 60,000 to 70,000 thoughts every day. Now, imagine if half of those thoughts were focused on negative emotions. You can predict what effect they would have. Joe puts it this way, saying, "The hormones of stress create disease. When we keep dwelling on our past, we are essentially preventing our bodies from recovering. By thinking of stressful times, we trigger the body's stress response. If we cannot turn it off, more bad genes get turned on until we're stuck in a domino effect. We eventually succumb to some illness because of these events. Hence, it becomes important that we do not get stuck in this cycle. We must distance ourselves from bad emotions like anger, jealousy, etc., because otherwise, a cruel fate awaits us." Number 5, cultivate good emotions. It's not only important to avoid bad emotions, but also to cultivate good ones. The most powerful of positive emotions is gratitude. Gratitude acts to lift our minds and bodies to a higher level. When you practice gratitude, you end up tricking your brain. Well, we are thankful when something turns out in our favor. However, if we bring up the feeling before an event is set to happen, we are essentially linking that event with positivity. You focus on what you want instead of what you don't want. By doing so, you attract good outcomes and drive unpleasant ones by no longer giving them attention. Number 6, meditation. Dr. JoeDispenza emphasizes meditation a lot. After all, the book has 2 chapters on the topic. We talked before about changing our thoughts, which means we change our beliefs, then our habits, and eventually our life. But the fundamental question here is, how do you change your thoughts? Dr. Dispenza explains that our mind exists in 3 states. Beta state is your normal state. When you're working during the day, you are continuously analyzing, assessing, and categorizing. Alpha state is a rather relaxed state. You are no longer thinking in this state, but are rather calm. You can feel this way when you're going for a walk or taking a long hot shower. Theta state revolves around visualization. In this state, you have access to the deeper conscious. You are more self-aware and can deeply analyze your thoughts and actions. You can access theta state through meditation. When working, we are in a continuous beta state and hardly have the brain power to analyze or reflect on our actions. So it becomes important that you must take some time out of your life to meditate during the busy state of affairs. Doing so allows you to have a deeper understanding of yourself. You learn how you behave or why you behave a certain way. Such a view is crucial if you want to break old habits or let go of negative energy. Dr. Joe guides his readers to visualize what sort of person they want to be while meditating. He gives a brief overview of what you should focus on. Think about what sort of person you want to be. Think about your problems. What factors contribute to the said problem? What's stopping you from letting go? How would the person in your head respond to that problem? What would be his strategy? Number 7, mental rehearsal. Now, we discussed visualizing your future self in your head. Dr. Joe seems to emphasize doing that a lot. Isn't that weird? Shouldn't he ask us to act instead of visualizing? Well, he reasons that what you're doing is your mental rehearsal, which affects your neural circuits. When you create an image of what sort of person you want to be in your head, you're essentially weakening circuits of your old personality. The more you visualize, the weaker those circuits get, and the easier it becomes for you to break free from the chains of your old personality. This is known as neuroplasticity, where the circuits of your brain rearrange themselves according to what you're thinking. And that's all we have for you folks. Dr. JoeDispenza has essentially opened a new world for us by teaching us the power our thoughts hold in shaping us as individuals and its effect on our bodies. For me, the greatest lesson has been the importance of meditation. Many people tend to brush it aside, but I'm sure they'll change their minds after reading this book. What about you? Are you going to start meditating from now? If so, let us know in the comments. Also, share your thoughts on the book. Do share the video with your friends, and I'll see you next time with another review. Bye bye!